Hey guys, Faro here with League Top 10, and today I'm going to be doing a first impression on Xerath. Now, I'm able to put out this first review the same day Xerath comes out because he's an AP caster, and frankly, AP casters are pretty easy to figure out as far as how viable they're going to be. And straight up, I'm going to tell you guys, Xerath is good. He's strong, he's got a decent lane phase, and I say that, but I can't really be 100% sure because every match I've played has been Xerath versus Xerath mid. But from my experience in holding other lanes, I feel like Xerath does have a strong lane phase once he hits, 5 or 6. Then he really starts to control his lane. But before that, it's going to be very hard for them to kill you. His farming is decent. The Q has a really low cooldown, the damage on it is good, but the AP ratio is a little on the light side, and that's probably because of the 3-second cooldown at max rank with max CDR. So the question here right now is what does Xerath bring to a team? Because really, we have a great AP caster lineup right now. There are really no casters that are extremely out of line, and all casters are both viable and good depending on the situation. So with Xerath, the question isn't so much, is he good? It's, is he up to par with the rest of the casters? And I would say yes, actually. Yeah, Xerath he's a pretty cool bro. He's probably, I'd say, one of the most balanced characters released since Brand. And, the thing about Xerath right now is that he could actually be incredibly overpowered, but we would have to wait and see. Xerath is one of those characters, you can see the potential when you play them. You play him and you can feel the power that the character has when you get things right. But the issue is that, you can't always get things right, and that's what I like about him, is that he actually is pretty, he's, I don't want to say hard to play, but he's challenging because you have to be able to land all of your skill shots, and really the Q is hard to hit on anyone with boots because of the delay, and the ultimate is like impossible to miss because it has like no cast animation. So it's like he's a lot of fun, but I do have a couple complaints about him overall. I feel like a fed Xerath is too hard to deal with. Straight up, if you start snowballing, you just become this impenetrable siege tank that just destroys everything all the time. Because, once you have Locus and Q maxed out, and you have cooldown boots and a blue buff, you are able to basically fire off the long range shot every 3 seconds. Your Locus is up at basically the same cooldown as your Q. So you can just you can lay siege to everything all the time. So, that's basically the one end of it. On the other end of it, I feel like Xerath is too weak without his ultimate. I feel like his ultimate really defines his gameplay, and with it, he's a very strong character. Using the ultimate, because of how hard it is to miss, it actually lets you stun somebody and follow up. You're able to do a lot of things with his ultimate as far as damage goes. You can basically burst down one character because it hits 3 times, so his ultimate is actually a 1.8 ratio. And with a lot of damage, it turns into a pretty big deal. So, aside from that, you can use it to basically siege down creeps who are attacking your tower. You can use it to hit 3 separate targets to slow them. There are a lot of things you can do with an ability like his ultimate, but without it, you're really just spending all of your time waiting for Q to come off cooldown, and that, I feel, it's really sad as far as a character goes. His Q, 3-second cooldown, his W, you get the same cooldown, but it's not an ability, so it doesn't really matter, and then his E has a pretty long cooldown compared to his Q. It's like 8 seconds or something at max rank, and that's actually not terribly long, but for a single target spell, it's not unheard of, but it feels unreasonable on a caster like Xerath, who really feels like a spam caster. So let's talk about total ratios as far as Xerath goes. His Q is a 0.6, his E is a 0.7, and his R is a 0.6 that hits 3 times, so it totals out to a 1.8. That gives you a 3.1 total ratio, which is almost the highest of any caster we've seen so far. So his front load burst, while his combo is, while he has everything up, is really good. And, it doesn't even mention the fact that he can use his Q twice in the span it takes you to actually use his combo. Because usually what you're going to do, you're going to try and hit them with Q first, then you're going to hit them with E, then you're going to R them, and then you're going to either Q them if it's back up, or just spam them down with R. And, that also doesn't take into account the fact that he gets 30% spell pen for free, which is the biggest deal ever because it means you can put off Void Staff for so long. And by popular request, we're going to do a guide portion of the first impressions because people seem to like those. Now, as an AP caster, there are basically 2 standard builds that you can go to lane with. One of them is Boots 3 health potions, the other one is Adoran's Ring. And, I guess technically you can do Sapphire Crystal and 2 health potions, but Sapphire Crystal and 2 health potions is noticeably weaker than the other 2. So all 3 of these builds really work on Xerath. You can start however you want, but you're going to basically do a standard caster build, which is, if you go with Boots and 3 health potions, then you want to buy 2 Doran's Rings and Rush Death Cap, and then do, Rylai's for survivability, or, Banshee's Veil, Void Staff, things like that. That's standard caster play. If you get a Doran's Ring, then you can do basically the same thing as the first one, or you can get Boots and then a Catalyst and then do Rod of Aegis Death Cap. And if you do Sapphire Crystal, you're obviously going for Catalyst, Rod of Aegis Rush. And then after that, you get Death Cap. And then from there, you can decide what to do. So that's standard caster stuff. I start Boots 3 health potions because I feel he needs the maneuverability in lane. I turn the Boots into cooldown Boots. And I usually hate Lucidity. Really, really hate Boots of Lucidity as an item. Pretty much irrationally. I haven't even done the math to see if they're cost effective. So, real bias right here. But I use them on Xerath. And I really like them on Xerath because I feel like he needs the CDR. I feel like CDR capping Xerath is almost necessary because you need the 30-second cooldown on the ultimate. You need the 3-second cooldown on Q and W. And you need your E up all of the time. So, max CDR, you will probably hit max with just the Boots and a blue buff. And maybe some masteries. So, go for the shoes. After that, you can do I do Catalyst into Rod of Aegis if I'm doing well, and I know I'm going to finish Rod before 16 minutes. Or, if I'm doing poorly, then I do something like double or triple Doran's Ring into, Needlessly Large Rod or Blasting Wand. So, from there, he needs the Death Cap. Death Cap is a really big deal to keep up with his damage because his damage falls off unless you're actively going forward with ability power. Some characters really need to itemize for health or defensives, but Xerath is not one of those characters. You need to get that ability power to give your abilities that extra punch. And you have 3.1 total AD, or total AP ratio. That's super good and reflects really well with the Death Cap because, mid-game, you're looking at basically like a Rod and a Needlessly Large Rod, which will probably float you around 200 ability power. That translates to 600 damage, roughly, on a low MR target because you have 30% spell pen for free, plus Archaic Knowledge or whatever in the offensive tree. Super good. Let's see. Void Staff on Xerath is kind of overkill because, for those that don't know, spell pen stacks, or percent-based spell pen is going to stack multiplicatively. So it's not going to be 40 plus 30 plus 15 totals out to 85% spell pen. That's not how that's going to happen. It's going to be it's going to end up being like roughly 64% spell penetration, which is still a huge deal. So you should definitely get it. But I feel like you need the hit points from either Rod of Aegis or Rylai's, one or the other, not both. And you definitely need it from Death Cap. So after you have either Rylai's or Rod and a Death Cap, then you can get Rylai's if you already got a Rod. Then you can get Void Staff. Then you can get Hourglass. Then you can get all that stuff. But Hourglass is not a core item just because the passive has synergy with it. The passive has synergy with all ability power and all health items. Stop saying Zhonya's Rush is good. It's not. It's really not. It's a good item. It's always been a good item, and it's always going to be a good item. But it's not a good first item because you need damage. And Zhonya's is not damage cost effective. I'm sorry. As far as runes and masteries, standard 9021 all day. That's what you should be doing on casters in Summoner's Rift. Every single time. As far as summoner spells, Flash, always. I could see getting Ghost on Xerath. I really could. I kind of actually like that idea. But I actually stick with Exhaust on all my characters whenever I'm playing an AP solo. And that's because I really, really, really like Exhaust. You know, Ignite will sometimes win you fights, or it will sometimes get you a kill. It won't usually keep you alive. You'll probably end up trading. But Exhaust will win you one-on-ones if you know how to use it. And it will negate one person's damage output in a gank, so you could pick up a kill 2v1. So I really, really do enjoy Exhaust. Now, as far as runes go, the usual caster page that I tell everyone to run is 10 spell pen, 3 ability power quints, mana regen yellows, cooldown or magic resist blues. And the thing with Xerath is that because you're not going for the spell pen shoes and you have percent base spell pen built into the kit, flat spell pen is never going to be cost effective for you. So get rid of the spell pen marks and the 3 spell pen glyphs and turn them into ability power and marks or cooldown reduction and glyphs. Cooldown reduction is really good on him. I really like it. I know some people that don't, but that's really a personal preference at that point. Anyway, guys, I've tried to make this short and to the point and actually tell you how I play him instead of, basically rambling on about opinions and facts. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. This has been Faro with League Top 10. If you want to see more first impressions, like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, take care.